In this video, I'm going to show you my top 4 tips for Google Shopping campaign optimization for highly competitive, high CPC niches. Hi, I'm Daryl, a PPC specialist and founder of BigFlare, the PPC agency for small to mid-size e-commerce companies that want to scale. My team and I spend literally millions of dollars on shopping campaigns, and today I'm going to distill and summarize our 4 top lessons for you. I'm also going to show you one big thing to avoid doing that pretty much everyone else is doing in shopping right now that's actually a huge waste of time. Alright, with that being said, before I dive into my top 4 tips, I want to get real with you for a second. Now, I often hear people complaining that a niche in Google Shopping is too competitive for them. They say things like, oh, the CPCs are too high for me, or how can I afford to compete with those big brands when they're driving up all the cost per clicks in the market? Now, to these people, I say, nonsense. If you are looking at your Google Shopping competitors and worrying about the high CPCs you might have to pay, you're getting it all wrong. I myself, rarely, if ever, do I even look at the CPCs in our Google Shopping campaigns. And the reason for that is because the real thing that matters is profit. And we all know that profit in Google Ads is a function of how much you spend on ads versus how much revenue you make back from those ads. Yeah, CPC is indeed one factor in the equation for profit, but it's not the only one. There's also conversion rate, AOV, and lifetime value of the customer. Remember, everyone else in Google Ads is trying to make money as well. No one, not even the big brand advertisers, want to bid a CPC that is so high that they're not making a profit anymore. So how high of a CPC you can bid is not determined really by how big of a company you are and how big your budget is. No matter how big of a company you are, the goal in Google Shopping is always to make money, to make profit. And so how high of a CPC you can bid, it's actually determined by how much money you can make. And how much money you can make is primarily determined by the average order value of your first sale and your conversion rate. So when you see big brand advertisers in Google Shopping, do not automatically assume that you can't afford the CPCs. Instead, look at your competitors' landing pages. Do you think you can compete with that landing page in terms of conversion rate? And do you think you can compete with them in terms of average order value on the first sale? If the answer to those 2 questions is yes, well then the CPCs don't matter at all. If you can convert as well as them, and if you can make as much money from that first customer as they do, then whatever CPCs they are paying, you can afford to pay that CPC too. It's really as simple as that. Okay, so now I hope you're ready to take on those big boys in your highly competitive Google Shopping niche. So let's dive into my top 4 list for Google Shopping campaign optimization. The first and foremost tip that I have for you today is to experiment with your pricing. Google Shopping is essentially a price comparison engine, and Google's goal is to get as many ad clicks as possible. Now, because Google Shopping is essentially a price comparison engine, it is often the cheapest product that will get the most clicks. And so, of course, logic follows that because Google wants to get as many ad clicks as possible, it's often going to show that cheapest product first. Now, there are multiple factors that go into determining which shopping products show up at all, and then which ones show up first. But studies have shown that when it comes to determining who shows up first, price, out of all the factors you can control in your product feed, price is the one that matters the most. I have actually seen multiple times how sometimes just a small decrease in price of about 5% can lead to a massive increase in clicks, impressions, and conversions, like up to 60% increase in all of those metrics and more. So while a price drop might erode your margins, the increase in volume might actually make it worth it. So my tip here is to consider price as one of the variables that you can optimize for Google Shopping. You need to balance the goals of having a lot of margin with the goals of having a lot of volume. So experiment with small increases or decreases in your price to determine which price strikes the best balance between those two things. Alright, my second tip today is to customize your titles with your top keywords. So if price is the top factor in determining how many impressions you're going to get for a given keyword, well then titles are the top factor in determining which keywords you're going to show up for in the first place. As I hope you know, Google does not let you specify precisely which keywords you want to target in Google Shopping. Instead, Google looks to your shopping product feed to determine from there which keywords you're going to show up for. Of all the fields in your shopping feed, the one field that Google looks at most when determining which keywords you're going to show shopping ads for are your product titles. In fact, compared to your product titles, pretty much all the other fields in your feed barely matter at all when it comes to determining which keywords you're going to show up on. And that's why it's so important to make sure that your top keywords are right there in your product titles. Do not just use the same title that you have on your store and duplicate that into the product feed. The best title for your store is not necessarily the best title for your shopping feed. The best title for your shopping feed is the one that condenses all your top seed keywords into one nice 70 to 150 character line. And also, once you've crafted an awesome product title for shopping, do not just set it and forget it. Instead, review your titles once per month and contrast your product titles to the actual keywords that are triggering sales and conversions for you in search and shopping. As you do that, if you start to see patterns of high converting search terms showing up in your search terms report and those search terms are not represented in your product titles, well, update your product titles accordingly. Alright, tip number 3 today is to use product images that stand out from the crowd. I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone to Google Shopping and seen a row of boring product images that all look the same. I see this especially often when there's a big brand product that's being resold by multiple different stores. In this case, I often see all the individual stores all using that same imagery that was sent to them by the product manufacturer. When you do this, your product image does not stand out at all, and you're doing nothing through your imagery to help stand out to the user and entice that click away from the other advertisers. Have a look at these example Google Shopping results for the Cuisinart food processor. As you can see, most of the images on here look really similar. It's basically the same angle with the same products showing very little variation. Now check out these 3 results. Notice how their images actually stand out and are different to the rest. This image here is using a different background with some context and color to really draw the eye. And in my opinion, these 2 images here are the best, because not only do they stand out, but they stand out in a way that communicates more value. These images actually show additional accessories and attachments that come with the food processor. Now, all of the advertisers here are actually providing those same attachments with the product. But only these 2 ads right here are actually showing off that extra value. They are much more enticing as a result. My 4th and final tip for you today is to learn to use Google Automated Smart Bidding like a pro. When you have sufficient conversion volumes in your account, Google's Automated Smart Bidding beats manual CPC hands down. But you do need to know how it works, and you do need to use it effectively. It's not a magic pill. So study up on it and learn to use it properly. Here are some of the things that I recommend. Where possible, use bid strategy portfolios and group as many campaigns as you can into as few portfolios as you can. Smart bidding works better the more conversion data that you have. When you don't use portfolios, your campaign conversion data is treated in a little silo on its own at the campaign level. When you group multiple campaigns together into one portfolio, you are telling the algorithm to group that conversion data together, which improves its predictive power. Try and get to target ROAS bidding as fast as possible. Now, it's often not effective or even possible to start with target ROAS bidding straight out of the gate, but you should ideally aim to get there on new campaigns as quickly as you can. When you launch a new campaign, Use a bid strategy such as maximize clicks, manual CPC, or maximize conversion value. Aim to get to around 30 conversions per month as quickly as you can, and then switch right over to target ROAS bidding. Target ROAS bidding will automatically adjust your CPCs up or down to get you the return on ad spend that you want, which is kind of ideal for e-commerce. Major changes to your campaign settings or composition can kick the bidding algorithm back into learning mode where the results could be suboptimal. In an ideal world, once you have your bid strategies dialed in, you're going to want to monitor them as much as possible, but fiddle with them as little as possible. Target ROAS bidding will try and bring your campaigns to within your target over a 30-day time period. That means do not panic if on a given day or even a week your return on ad spend is below target. Whatever happens, the algorithm will be adjusting your cost per click bids to try and bring in your target ROAS over that 30-day time period. And that means that even if there was a dip on a particular day or a particular week, when the algorithm is working properly, you don't actually need to make any adjustments. That's because the algorithm will have already seen the dip on that day or week, and it will already be adjusting your CPCs to try and bring back your 30-day average return over ad spend. Okay, I've got one final bonus tip for you today, and that is to not waste time over-optimizing your product descriptions. Studies have shown that your product descriptions in your feed actually have no effect on your ad impressions or performance. In one study performed by Crealytics, they took thousands of products and they changed the product descriptions to lorem ipsum and nonsense text. Do you want to know what happened? The products with the total gobbledygook descriptions had no noticeable dip in performance. They performed just as well as the products with the highly optimized descriptions. Not only does your product description not make any real difference to your shopping campaign optimization, but users never really see it anyway. The only place it would be seen is if the user actually clicks over to the shopping tab on the Google results. And basically no one ever does that. They tend to just click the shopping results right there on the first page of Google. So while your competitors are out there wasting time trying to craft the perfect description for Google Shopping, you should spend that time working on the 4 other tips I gave you today. If you like this video, then be sure to hit subscribe right now. I'll be releasing videos just like this one 2 to 4 times per month. And if you're interested to find out more about my PPC agency and how we might be able to help you, head over to bigflare.com. Now it's over to you. Which one of these tips are you going to use today? Are you going to start optimizing your pricing? Or maybe you're going to give smart bidding a try? Let me know in the comments below. And then it's blooper time and then we're done. What is Bigflare? I should know that. Again. Oh, my script's disappeared because I've been signed out. Hold. Big. Scratch that. I'm going to do that sentence again. I said it wrong. If you like this video, then thank you.